The prompt that we're going to be giving a response to is the intent to deceive a necessary condition for lying. And our thesis is that everyone lies, but not everyone lies to deceive. However, when people want to deceive, there needs to be good intention behind the lie. And to show this thesis, we decided to create a little short story that goes along with our thesis. Our story begins with a single mother who raises a child on her own after the father of that child left her when he was just a baby. And she only had a high school degree after getting pregnant for so young, so getting that high school degree was a big accomplishment for her. She also juggles multiple jobs to provide for her son and herself as well. And her son ends up very troubled after being in a separated family and not really having that father figure to look up to. The son even stacked up some minor charges over the years, nothing too major. And his mother really struggles to provide for them, and the mother made him go to a carnival to stay out of trouble. And when the son arrives, he hears about a raffle prize, and he decides to take it as he believes his mother deserves it after working so hard to give him a good life. Although this is not something that you should do, he had good intention behind his actions. And when the mother realized what happened, she ran after him and took the money out of his hands. As the mother was trying to return the prize money, she was wrongfully accused and was arrested for stealing the money. After they have her in custody, the police begin to ask her questions like, why did you do it? How did you do it? Etc. And her only answer was, I did it. I stole the money. Please arrest me. And the police officers would continue to say that we know you didn't do it. We know that you're lying, but this is not something that you should be doing. Who really stole the money? And although the mother continues to say that she did it, in the mother's head, she's saying, the reason that I'm doing this is for my son. I know my son the best, and I know that he loves me most. When he sees me, the one person he loves most, in prison for his wrongdoings, he'll be sure to get his act together. This was my intention all along. I know what I'm doing. This ties back into what we learned in class because just as Twain says that lying is universal, we all do it. Therefore, the wise thing for us to do is to diligently train ourselves to lie thoughtfully. And just as his quote says that everyone lies, and when we do it, we should think about how we do it, and we should lie with good intent. Also, similarly, Barnett lies to Riley about not throwing her fruit in the ivy or else it will grow melons in the ivy. Although that's a blatant lie, he lies with the intent, hoping that she would stop throwing the melons in the ivy and she would start eating them. And relating to our story, the mother, she didn't want her child to go to prison, so she lied about her stealing the money with the intent of letting her son live his life. Some specific points and passages that support our story are from Twain. Twain believes that no one can tell the full truth, and even though you were at a party all night, can you really retell the full story with everything being truthful? You're never going to remember every detail of everything that's happened, and even staying silent would be considered lying according to Twain. So therefore, you should lie with good intentions. And in our story, we have the mother who lies to the police because she doesn't want her son to go to prison, and even her not talking or even her sitting there telling them straight up that it was her, that she stole the money, it's all with good intentions because she feels that with her going to prison is going to help teach her son a bigger lesson rather than having him go to prison. Similarly, Burnett lies, but on a different scale. He writes children's books lying about all sorts of things. So, one example he gave was writing a book of this boy who receives a whale as a punishment. Although some may think this is fun and games, that whale ruined the boy's life as he had to hike up and down the hills to go to school. This teaches children to behave, or else they would get a quote unquote blue whale as a punishment and go through what Billy had gone through. And this similarly relates back to our story with the son. And the son, although he wouldn't have to go through the punishment phase of prison, his mom is envisioning her going to prison as his punishment. So living through that guilt that he put his mother in prison because she wanted to save him. Some may argue that just because there is good intention behind the lie, it does not excuse the fact of how it makes others feel. Although it makes you, the liar, feel better by knowing the reasons as to why you're lying, it doesn't always translate to the other person. Lying always comes from deception because it's taking away one's knowledge, stripping one of the truth. And Harris also believes that honesty leads to better relationships. He states, people tell a lie for many reasons. They avoid embarrassment to exaggerate their accomplishments and disguise wrongdoings. Many of us lie to our friends and family to spare their feelings. But to combat this, we say that because you did have good intention behind your lies and they were not malicious, as long as you can approach that person and explain to them your reasonings behind why you did what you did or why you said what you said, then I feel like the other person would understand. However, in cases that they don't understand, you can just say for yourself that you did what you think it's right. It's hard to do that, especially when everyone else is saying that the other side is right or you shouldn't have done that. To do what you think is right is brave, and you should get some points for doing what you believe is right. You can't always please everyone, but in the end, you need to be pleased with yourself.